Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics. And I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 50 Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and certainly I will continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty is necessary in this era of deception. Yes, it's me, folks. It's Fernando Uribe. Again, as we're wrapping up the month of January, election season is well underway. There's always a lot to discuss, so let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. And folks, in the 8th Congressional District, it is getting chippy. It's getting feisty. It's getting fickle. Folks, it's getting a little personal between the incumbent, U.S. Representative Rob Menendez, and thus far his only challenger in the Democrat primary, Hoboken Mayor, and the virtue signaler-in-chief there in Hoboken, Ravi Bala. So let me just sort of give you some perspective here about why this race is so interesting, and at the same time, why it's only January and it's already extremely dramatic. But let's take it to Twitter this week, folks, and a shout out to John R. Highness, the editor of the Hudson County View and also a member of the Pinnacle here in Hudson County. One of my boys there, love him to death. And certainly a Twitter post this week went by the following, quote, breaking opponents in the 8th District congressional race hate each other a lot. And obviously, you know, we've been seeing the comments there. So we'll sort of, go into, but essentially, Rob started the sort of the initial Twitter battle here, talking about, he was referencing a Hudson County View post, talking about Bala apparently broke ethics codes by doing interviews from mayor's office, which again we know is improper, right? Using sort of, government offices and government equipment for campaign purposes. So Rob Menendez went on to say, quote, Robbie leaves Hoboken regularly to raise money for his doomed campaign, but can't be bothered to leave City Hall to do a political interview. Tells you everything you need to know about his priorities, all right? So, of course, right after that, Ravi Bala decided to mention, well, he responded with, quote, wow, the entitled son of corrupt Bob, quote, Goldbar Menendez trying to lecture me about ethics. Now that's pretty rich. And, of course, folks, I mean, this was all predicated on a bunch of other Twitter posts. Certainly, Rob Menendez and Ravi Bala have been going back and forth for a little over, I think, maybe about half a day so far. It seems to have calmed down by now. But, ladies and gentlemen, let me just give you the 411 about the 8th Congressional District. And we've talked about this before, but I think it's important to sort of, it bears repeating. Now, I know Rob Menendez personally. I know his father. I've known him for many years. And the senior United States Senator is a guy who's always been fair to me, fair to my family. And while we've had staunch differences of opinion along policy lines over the years, right? And we've had conversations like grown adults and men where we can agree to disagree and, okay, we can shake hands and just sit there and have a drink. It's not a problem. So I've never had a problem with Bob. And certainly Bob is in indeed some hot water along with his current wife. And as I've talked about repeatedly on this program, folks, he's entitled to the presumption of innocence, like we all are under our criminal justice system. Okay, he's entitled to a trial by jury of his peers. He's certainly entitled to the right to counsel. Again, all Sixth Amendment guarantees. He's entitled to not incriminate himself, obviously under the Fifth Amendment, and he's been doing that. Now, does it look bad for Bob Menendez? Sure. A lot of the evidence thus far that the, U.S. Attorney's Office has presented for public consumption looks pretty damning and looks pretty incriminating. All right, we'll see. Trial starts in May, and we will discover eventually what the attorneys for Bob Menendez have to say as it pertains to his defense. Again, folks, we're all innocent until proven guilty. I know some people might want to just sort of, convict people in the court of public opinion. That's fine, right? Many on the left are doing that with the 45th president, and many on the right sometimes are doing that with the senior United States senator. But just like Donald Trump, Bob Menendez is entitled to due process. We'll see what happens in a court of law. And very much, folks, like anything else, all it takes is one juror to not believe the prosecution's presentation of the facts. Now, are we talking about a corrupt FBI and a very suspicious Justice Department in Washington? Certainly. I think we've all learned that in the last few years, going back to even the former president's tenure in the White House. So would it shock me if the U.S. Attorney and the DOJ or even the Attorney General are inept, incompetent, or both? Certainly not. I think we've seen that play out in real time. So we'll see what happens in not just the trial for Donald Trump, but we'll also see what happens in the trial for Bob Menendez. Now, whether Bob has chosen to run again, we don't know. Certainly the primary is coming up shortly in the first week of June, first Tuesday of June, as a matter of fact. And we'll see where Bob stands. Now, again, trial starts in early May, which pretty much leaves them a month until primary day. And I doubt that the trial will finish within a month's time. It might drag out throughout the entire summer. Now, whether or not Bob Menendez decides to run as an independent candidate, who knows? By then, obviously, since he's not one of the, I guess, preferred candidates for many different Democrat county organizations, who knows what recourse Bob Menendez has. But first things first, I think, his fight for innocence, I think, supersedes anything in terms of seeking elected office again, right? So that's the first thing, because, obviously this is what Ravi Bala's campaign is predicated on, sort of, condemning Rob for the alleged sins of the father. Again, folks, innocent until proven guilty. That's what Bob Menendez has before him. And Rob, listen, I can't imagine what Rob's going through. I love my dad to death. And if my dad was going through what Rob's dad is going through, I'm sure it would take a toll on me. But it hasn't, because he has remained committed to the 8th Congressional District. Now, once again, Rob and I, as gentlemen, as friends, I can text Rob, I can call him, just like I can call his dad. And they'll be receptive to taking my phone call and or replying to text messages. But Rob, again, has gone to Washington as a freshman U.S. representative, and he's done the work. He's brought back federal dollars to the 8th Congressional District. Now, we don't agree on everything. We certainly have very different views about maybe foreign policy, about domestic policy, about certainly what he stands for as a progressive, what I stand for as a conservative. And we can agree to disagree, but once again, folks, we can go out to eat, get a beer or a drink, and you know what? Shake hands and go about our day and go about BSing at the dinner table. That's what I can do with Rob Menendez. Okay? But he's put in the work. He's put in the time. Now, can we say the same about Ravi Bala? Now, Ravi can certainly raise money. Where he's doing that and who he's getting money from, again, remains to be seen. And of course, we know that the Lollipop Guild in Hoboken, of course, the council people that run on his ticket, we all know who they are, folks. Emily Jabor, Phil Cohen, Joe Quintero, these clowns that sort of sit there and have their noses so far up Ravi's rectum that, quite frankly, they have to sort of pull it out just to breathe. Okay? Or John Allen, the freshman state assemblyman, who has no business being in the state assembly, because we all know, folks, that Ravi Bala kicked off a very qualified and very hardworking Latina. So for a guy that's as progressive as Ravi Bala claims to be, yeah, let's show how progressive and woke we are by kicking out a Latina who's worked hard and by the way, let me just preface this by saying that I've also had disagreements with Annette Shapiro. There are some positions she's taken in Trenton that I've not been a fan of. But I've told her, right to her face, we've been amicable, we've shaken hands, we'll agree to disagree, and be civil to each other. But at no point in time would I ever say, hey, she hasn't done the work. She deserved to stay in the state assembly. But again, Ravinder felt it was progressive of him to replace a Latina, which are a very few representation to begin with in Trenton, for his white colleague of the law office that he works with, and of course, who was his chief of staff at City Hall. Folks, if that doesn't reek of nepotism, if that doesn't reek of shady politics, then I don't know what will. So what exactly does Ravi Bala have as a platform? What? Ethical concerns that have been documented, not just by Delta County View, but other news sites? The idea that he feels the need to acquiesce to every woke and bleeding heart cause in Hoboken that just become insufferable, folks. Again, we're 5 months away from Pride Month, and believe me, if there's ever an insufferable time of year that I just cannot stand, it's Pride Month. Not because I can't stand LGBTQ plus minus people, whatever. No, that's not my point. It's the idea now of just shoving this propaganda down everyone's throat, and we have to sort of sit there and take it and like it. I don't, and I speak out against it. But you wouldn't know that with Ravi Bala and the Lollipop Guild. Once again, Emily Jabor, Phil Cohen, and Joe Quintero. Right? Who love to virtue signal, who love ribbon cutting ceremonies for another public park in Hoboken instead of addressing plumbing and flooding. Or the idea that, hey, parking is still a problem for Hoboken residents. But that's okay, though, because, we got to focus on pronouns instead of parking in Hoboken. Or during Pride Month, making sure that taking tax dollars, which is what funds the Hoboken Public Library, and making sure that the librarian has drag queen story time for kids as young as 5. Reading literature to children that we all know is objectionable, and in some cases, quite offensive to parents. But God forbid parents speak out about that. No, we can't have that. Those are bigoted parents. No, they're concerned parents. But people like Ravi Bala, Joe Quintero, Emily Jabor, Phil Cohen, John Allen, and the rest of the Lollipop Guild and the Mickey Mouse Club in Hoboken want to tell you differently. But this is what Ravi Bala wants to run on. Hey, I can raise more money. Maybe. We'll see. I'm more woke. I care more about pronouns. I care about coddling LGBTQ plus minus A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. Instead of looking at the issues that are suffocating residents in the 8th Congressional District. About trying to maybe pressure the White House to focus on inflation or lowering gas prices or doing things that would help, again, bring valuable dollars to the 8th Congressional District. Folks, that's what Rob Menendez has done. You don't have to like Rob. You can dislike him because of his last name. You can dislike him for his father. That's your prerogative. But folks, be a little objective here and look at Rob Menendez's record. As a freshman U.S. representative, he's been doing the work. He's rolled up his sleeves. He's done the tough interviews. He has sat there with excellent journalists like John Hines and mediocre journalists like David Cruz. And he's answered questions like anybody else. And give him credit, because questions you think he would cringe away from or deflect, he hasn't. He's answered questions. He's been there taking the punches from people, not just from Ravi Bala, but many residents in Hudson County, and even in New Jersey, because of his last name. Now, folks, coming up in June, during primary day, we're going to find out what Rob has to offer and what Ravi has to offer. And if you're just looking at the Twitter feed for the last couple of days, folks, this is not the first scuffle that they've had on Twitter in the last month or two. Going back to last year, Ravinder feels the need to be a little chippy and a little fickle and wants to chirp. Hey, be it far from me to ever condemn someone for chirping. I live to chirp. That's all I love doing is chirping and talking and wanting the smoke all the time. I love it. I look forward to it. That's part of my brand. Difference is, though, Ravinder, you're kind of punching above your weight, though. Because Rob's a guy that if you ever debate him, Rob's going to cook you. And all he has to say is, hey, I have a record to run on. You don't. And I get it that Ravi has his supporters in Hoboken and will, stand by him, and that's fine. A lot of mayors have their supporters. But the problem, though, is, folks, that the supporters for Ravi Bala in Hoboken are quite myopic. What are you going to run on Ravinder? Again, there's more to life than ribbon-cutting ceremonies to open another park, okay, to repaint the crosswalks in downtown Hoboken with rainbow colors, because, again, you have to acquiesce to the alphabet mob and make sure that every LGBTQ plus minus ABC 1, 2, 3 person is coddled as much as possible for those 30 days in June. Okay? or making sure that pronouns and that we're not misgendering people. Folks, that's the priority list in the city of Hoboken. That's what Ravi Bala has to run on. And this is all Ravi has. Because once he loses the primary in a few months, which I'm confident he will, what becomes of his political capital then? Will he run for mayor in 2025? Highly unlikely, because his political capital has been completely evaporated. And that's going to happen at the hands of Rob Menendez. Mark my words, folks. Rob's going to take him out in June, and there's nothing Robbie can do about it. Yeah, he can go for pot shots and little, adolescent jabs and infantile type of insults. That's not going to win elections, folks. Yeah, that'll win you a few points on social media and get you a couple clicks and views on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's not going to get you votes, Robbie. I hope you learn that now, because if you don't, you're going to get slaughtered in June. Word to the wise, folks. Again, I know what I'm talking about, even when you don't think I do. Well, there you have it, folks. The 8th Congressional District going to get sexy and spicy in the next few months. I can't wait to keep covering it. I can't wait to keep laughing, and I certainly can't wait to see the final result, which ultimately will be Rob Menendez defeating Ravi Bala on primary day. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. And now some local stories for your consideration. And thank you to Ron Zentlinger, the editor of the Jersey Journal, for his reporting on this very sort of heartwarming story. And sort of, let's change it up about politics a little bit for a moment. But judges are being sought for the annual Hudson County STEM Showcase. Now, the Jersey City Medical Center, R.W.J. Barnabas Health, and the Liberty Science Center are seeking more than 100 judges to participate in the 2023-2024 Hudson County STEM Showcase, the largest science fair in the county. Now, the annual event is scheduled for Monday, March 11th, and it celebrates the scientific and engineering achievements of public, private, and charter school students from grades 5 through 12. The showcase allows students to present their original research projects to a panel of judges and compete for awards and scholarships. Now, judges must attend the March 11th event at the Liberty Science Center from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, judges will be assigned based on their level of education, field of study, and professional experience. They will review and evaluate science projects in 22 categories, ranging from animal sciences to translational medical science as well. According to Mike Prelutsky, the president and CEO of the Jersey City Medical Center, he was also in a R.W.J. Barnabas Health facility, of course. He went on to say, "We are looking for volunteers who are passionate about science, technology, engineering, and math, and who want to inspire the next generation of STEM leaders. The STEM Showcase is an incredible way to invest in Hudson County by showcasing students' talents and creativity while supporting their academic and career aspirations, reinforcing our commitment to educational excellence." Now, of course, folks, if you're interested in registering and to participate as a judge, obviously you can look up the Jersey Journal website and obviously go to www.online-registration.com/NJ/JCSS/judge_registration. Now, as a reminder, no special training is required to be a judge, and lunch and refreshments will be provided throughout the day. For more information, make sure to send an email to 202-324-STEM-SHOWCASE@rwjbh.org. Once again, that's 2023-24 STEM Showcase at rwjbh.org. Folks, I actually submitted my name. Why not? Why can't New Jersey's premier journalist and your favorite political commentator be a judge at the STEM Showcase? We'll see if they pick me, but folks, even if they don't, I'm interested in what all of these talented young men and women will be doing at the STEM Showcase coming up at the Liberty Science Center on Monday, March the 11th. You should get involved too. Again, all the information's there. Look forward to seeing you, hopefully, if I get selected, and hopefully, as many of you will also be selected as well. In other heartwarming news, let's move to Union City, and a special thank you to one of the icons in Hudson County journalism, Jeff Henning, working for HUD News, your daily Hudson dose. Again, you can check him out at hudnews.com for his reporting on this story. Now, a Pulitzer Prize winning author recently visited Union City, and it brought quite the crowd. Now, the recent visit and book signing was sponsored by the Hudson County-based nonprofit organization, the Cuban American Alliance for Leadership and Education. The nonfiction book won the Pulitzer Prize in 2022 for history, And it traces the history of the island from the time of Christopher Columbus until, unfortunately, the times of dictator Fidel Castro. The book was published in 2021, and subsequently it took Ferrer 5 years to write. But her research goes back as far as 1990, as she has traveled to Cuba on numerous occasions to gather materials, facts, and inspiration about one of the more beautiful islands in all of the Caribbean. Now, I'm a little biased here, folks. Obviously, I'm half Cuban, and for those of you that know me, know that my Spanish is very Cuban, and my mannerisms are very Cuban. You know how opinionated I am and how outspoken I am. That's certainly the Cuban blood in me, to say the very least. But, folks, I can't say enough about Ada Ferrer, a Cuban immigrant who has seen it all in her travels, and certainly someone who, and by the way, shout out to her, she's a fellow Memorial High School Tiger. So, folks, the greatness that comes from Memorial High School transcends decades, obviously. So shout out to her for her commitment to really being informative and really writing a book that, again, is easy to read. I'm looking forward to, as a matter of fact, I already ordered a copy, and I'm looking forward to finishing it hopefully this spring. But folks, I got to tell you, these are the types of arts and crafts events and just what you can expect from the city of Union City. The William Musto Center, the cultural center there, hosts, dozens of events throughout the calendar year, hosting musicians, poets, artists, writers, and authors alike, all throughout the year. So again, a shout out to Union City Commissioner of Public Affairs, Lucio Fernandez, because he makes these events possible. Again, along with the hard work of Union City Mayor Brian Stack, who's also our state senator in the 33rd Legislative District, but of course, as I said before, the Union City Public Affairs Office, as well as the Union City Board of Commissioners, who helped welcome Ms. Ferrer for this very, very informative, again, book reading and signing, which I got to tell you, folks, is something that warms my heart, again, as the son of immigrants and as the son of a Cuban mother and as the grandson of Cuban grandparents that fled communism, came here for a better life, had to deal with the hardship of learning a new language, learning new skills, and making a better life for themselves, and subsequently making a better life for me. And I'm forever grateful to them. But, when you read this book, it reminds you about the immigrant struggle, especially for those Cubans that had to flee the island due to communism so many decades ago. So, folks, definitely, again, you want to check it out. The author's name is Ada Ferrer, and it is Cuba, an American History. I got to tell you, folks, it's very, very worth buying. Very affordable on Amazon. Check it out. Show your support for this incredible author. Again, Pulitzer Prize-winning author, having just won this award recently. So shout out to Ms. Ferrer. As a matter of fact, someone I'm looking forward to interviewing on one of my media brands in the immediate future. Last but not least, folks, and yes, we'll have to get back to some politics here, but no surprise, jihadists decide to march in downtown Jersey, just like they've been doing so for months now, being a nuisance, and in some cases, looting and vandalizing all throughout the tri-state area, just to make a point about a sovereign country like Israel defending itself against the aggressions from Hamas that emanate from Palestine. So activists in Jersey City, again, a shout out to Daniel Oloa, one of the writers and contributors to the Hudson County View, for his reporting on this story. So the jihadists in Jersey City rallied last Friday evening for a ceasefire in the war between Israel and the Hamas-controlled area of Gaza. It was hosted by Ceasefire Now NJ and other related groups. The crowd of about 100 people decried the actions of Israel since the war began on October 7th with a Hamas invasion involving the killing and capturing of innocent Israeli civilians. Folks, let me say this. Shout out to Daniel Oloa for that wording, because you're not going to see it worded as accurately and as intellectually honestly as Daniel just did. Unfortunately, a lot of the garbage news sites here in the state of New Jersey, whether it be NJ Spotlight News, Insider NJ, the Star Ledger, the New Jersey Monitor, NorthJersey.com, Politico New Jersey, yeah, they all kind of walk that fine line and not call it like it is. Again, shout out to Daniel for writing it, and I'll read it again to you, okay? When the war began on October 7th with a Hamas invasion involving the killing and capturing of innocent Israeli civilians. Folks, the liberal media, whether it be nationally or here in New Jersey, like to walk a very fine line about not offending Palestinians of any kind. and making sure that, you know what, oh, a Hamas invasion involving the killing and capturing of innocent Israeli civilians. You're not going to see that language in a lot of other news sites because, again, they'd rather acquiesce to Palestinian sympathizers. And in this case, all these jihadists that are being disruptive, that are blocking traffic, that are blocking roads to airports, that are blocking bridges. This is the nuisance we've come to know, folks, since October the 7th. Now, they demand that the city council pass a resolution demanding that Congress work to impose a ceasefire that failed at a special meeting last month. A few addressed the topic at the recent council meeting inside of City Hall at Grove Street. So one of the local, clown activists, we all know Isaac Jimenez, the leader of the Democratic Socialists of America here in Hudson County, the North Jersey chapter, quote, Israel must end its genocide of Gaza. No, there's no genocide. Okay. I mean, folks, people like Isaac amuse me. Folks, there's no genocide. They're defending themselves against aggression that's been enacted on them for decades. Okay? That's a country that deserves to exist and has earned the right to exist. Folks, again, when you win a war back in 1948, again, to the victor go the spoils. When you win a war, you get to dictate the terms. And that's what a lot of Palestinian people don't seem to understand or don't want to understand or refuse to understand. But those are the facts. And people like Isaac Jimenez and other virtue signalers and all these woke clown activists that are out there blocking roads, blocking traffic, being a nuisance to people, being disruptive on social media, ripping down signs of captured Israeli civilians and thinking it's funny. Folks, look on your social media. Forget about what my algorithm says. Look at it for yourself. It's disgraceful behavior. But this is behavior that people like Isaac Jimenez, the North Jersey Democratic Socialists of America, and of course all these insufferable Palestinian-led organizations want you to believe. Folks, there's nothing to believe. Israel has a right to exist. Israel has a right to defend itself. How they do so? Well, hey, folks, you want to F around, you're going to find out. And that's exactly what the Israeli government is doing to people trying to exterminate them. That's what people on the left and all these jihadists and all these Palestinian sympathizers failed to realize or even recognize. Well, they're finding out the hard way, and quite frankly, I don't feel sorry for any of them. That's our show for this week. To check out all the excellent programming brought to you by the Hudson Media Group, the leader in independent media right here in Hudson County, check out their websites, www.hmgtvshows.com, along with www.livestream.com/hmgtv. Don't forget to like the Hudson Media Group on Facebook, and of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter. And for all you YouTube subscribers, don't forget to click the subscribe button, and you'll be notified of all the wonderful content brought to you by the Hudson Media Group every single week. Whether it's brand new episodes of Hudson County View Live, hosted by John Highness, whether it's Stick at Night, hosted by Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Romano, all of the other wonderful programming that, again, gets recorded here every single week. Once again, click on the subscribe button, and you'll be notified when Hudson Media Group produces new content on YouTube. Folks, don't forget to like Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe on Facebook. And, of course, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You'll see the handles there down below. And, of course, drop me an email whenever you can. I'd love to hear from you. Once again, Real Talk with Fernando Uribe at gmail.com. Once again, Real Talk with Fernando Uribe at gmail.com. I'll always look forward to your feedback. Whether you like the show, you don't like the show, hey, maybe you don't have an opinion, but you know what? Try expressing one. Let me know what you like about the program, and folks, I'll make sure to get back to you as promptly as I possibly can. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Talking Politics right here with the Hudson Media Group. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 50 Latino as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, along with being the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe, saying so long, be safe out there, and thanks for stopping by.